Hello everyone, and welcome back to Six Path Weeb. Today, we continue one of the most emotional and game-changing fanfiction journeys in the Naruto universe. What if the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, finally decided to do what should have been done from the very beginning? Protect Naruko Uzumaki? In this chapter, bonds will be tested, hidden truths will surface, and the future of Konoha may begin to change in ways nobody expected. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. What if Hiruzen finally protected Naruko? Part 3. Disclaimer: this channel is created for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any anime footage, characters, music, or visuals used in this video. All rights belong to their respective creators and copyright holders. Now then, let the story begin. Anko hurried to Tenzo's side while Yugao stood nearby, holding a collection of old mission files they had discovered deep within the hidden underground base. The air felt cold and dusty, and every shadow seemed to carry secrets from long ago. Anko carefully unrolled the mission scroll and read the words written across the parchment. Her eyes narrowed with concern. "This is not just a mission report," Anko said quietly. "It is an assassination order." Yugao stepped closer. "An assassination order against Lord Hiruzen?" Anko gave a grim nod. "Yes." The three shinobi exchanged uneasy looks. None of them trusted Danzo Shimura. Throughout the village, many ninja believed he was always planning something behind the scenes. While he claimed to care for Konohagakure, his actions often caused fear and suspicion. With this evidence, Anko said firmly, "There is no way Danzo can pretend he is innocent anymore." Yugao folded her arms. "He always speaks about protecting the village, but his methods only bring suffering." Kenzo remained calm, though his expression grew serious beneath his mask. "We must be careful. Danzo hides his secrets well. Finding this scroll may have simply been luck." The three shinobi separated and continued searching the underground rooms. Wooden shelves lined the walls, packed with faded books and sealed containers. Dust floated through the dim torchlight while silence filled the hidden base. As Tenzo searched through a pile of old records, he suddenly stopped. "There's another file here," he murmured. He opened it carefully and began reading. "With Orochimaru's assistance, Project Black Ice has been completed. Using the traits of the Yuki clan and the Sarutobi clan, a powerful child may be created." Tenzo's eyes widened. The document was dated 7 years earlier. "This is terrible," Tenzo whispered. Anko and Yugao quickly returned to his side. "What is it?" Yugao asked. Tenzo closed the file slowly. "Danzo experimented with dangerous techniques in secret. We do not yet know the full truth, but whatever he planned could threaten the village." Anko clenched her fists. "How many secrets has he hidden from everyone?" Tenzo took a slow breath before forming hand signs. "Wood clone technique." 4 wooden clones emerged beside him. "Search every room," Tenzo ordered calmly. "Bring back anything suspicious." The clones nodded before disappearing into the floors and walls like drifting roots. Far above the underground base, Konohagakure continued its daily life, unaware of the growing danger hidden within its own walls. Time skip. Location: Ninja Academy. Iruka rubbed his tired eyes while cleaning dust from the classroom shelves. The Chunin teacher had barely slept in days. Ever since Naruko Uzumaki had been injured, worry weighed heavily on his heart. Iruka had tried many times to visit her at the hospital, but the Anbu guards outside her room would not allow visitors. Even speaking with Lord Hiruzen had become difficult because the Hokage was overwhelmed with important matters. The students at the academy constantly asked about Naruko. "Is she still sick? When will she come back? Did she catch a cold?" Iruka hated lying to them, but he could not bear telling children such painful truths. So he simply explained that Naruko had become seriously ill and needed rest. Most students accepted the answer, though Shikamaru Nara clearly suspected something else was wrong. The clever boy watched Iruka carefully during lessons, saying little but noticing everything. As Iruka organized papers on his desk, the classroom door suddenly opened. An Anbu operative stepped inside. "You have been summoned by Hokage-sama," the masked ninja said. Iruka blinked in surprise. "Right now?" The Anbu nodded once. Moments later, the two shinobi vanished in a swirl of motion and reappeared outside Naruko's hospital room. Iruka immediately noticed Lord Hiruzen standing quietly near the door. The elderly Hokage looked exhausted. Deep sadness rested in his eyes, and his shoulders seemed heavier than ever before. Iruka bowed respectfully. "You summon me, Hokage-sama?" Hiruzen gave a small nod. Iruka hesitated before speaking again. Lord Hokage. Are you all right? You look very tired. For a moment, the old Hokage remained silent. Then he looked toward the hospital room door where Naruko rested peacefully inside. She has been through more hardship than any child should ever face, Hiruzen said softly. But even so, Naruko continues to hold kindness in her heart. Iruka looked down sadly. He remembered Naruko's bright smile, her endless determination, and the way she always tried to make others laugh even when she herself felt lonely. Hiruzen turned back toward Iruka. When Naruko awakens, he said gently, she will need people beside her who truly care for her. Iruka placed a hand over his chest and nodded without hesitation. I will always be there for her. Hiruzen let out a tired sigh and brushed the dust from his wrinkled robes. His kind old eyes were heavy with worry. I'm sorry, Iruka, he said softly. These past months have been very difficult. Times like this make me wish the fourth Hokage were still here. If he were alive. Perhaps much of this could have been prevented. His voice carried sadness, and Iruka could hear the guilt hidden beneath it. Naruko needed her parents now more than ever. Yet the only time they had ever held her was on the day she was born. Hiruzen wished Minato were alive. He wished Kushina were alive too. But wishes could not change the past, and the thought weighed heavily on his heart. Iruka listened quietly, still struggling to understand everything that had happened. He could hardly believe that respected shinobi like Kakashi, Asuma, and Choza had been involved in hurting a child. Even Ko of the Hyuga clan had taken part. The news felt unreal. Trying to clear his thoughts, Iruka finally asked, Hokage-sama. Why are we standing outside Naruko's room? He had been brought here suddenly by an Anbu shinobi, and now the third Hokage stood silently before the hospital door. Hiruzen lit his pipe with a small fire technique. The faint smoke curled through the hallway as he stared ahead with a troubled expression. I asked you here because Naruko has finally awakened from her coma, he said gently. Iruka froze. For a moment, his legs felt weak. He steadied himself against the wall, tears already filling his eyes. She woke up? He whispered. When? Yesterday, Hiruzen answered. And I will allow you to visit her. But Iruka, I must warn you. The attack deeply wounded her heart and mind. She is not the cheerful child you once knew. His voice became quieter. She is frightened of people now. Only a few can approach her without causing panic, myself, you, Tucci, Ayame, and perhaps the Anbu who rescued her that night. Please be careful with her. She has suffered far more than any child should. Iruka swallowed hard and nodded. I understand. Hiruzen stepped aside, allowing him to enter. Iruka slowly opened the hospital room door. The television was playing a movie starring the famous actress Yuki Fujikaze, but Iruka barely noticed it. His attention immediately fell upon Naruko. She lay quietly in bed, facing the wall. At the sound of the door opening, she shrank slightly, as though trying to hide. Iruka's breath caught in his throat. Naruko had lost her left arm and both legs. Scars and burns marked her skin, and even from where he stood, Iruka could see how much pain she had endured. Naruko, he said gently, his voice trembling, it's me. Iruka-sensei. I came as soon as I heard you were awake. Naruko's remaining blue eye widened in surprise. Slowly and awkwardly, she turned toward him. It was clearly difficult for her to move now, and adjusting to seeing with one eye was not easy. When she finally faced him, Iruka saw the scars across her face, one above her eye, another over her nose, and one where her left eye had once been. Iruka-sensei? She asked softly. You came to see me? Her voice was no longer loud and energetic. It sounded small and uncertain. Of course I did, Iruka replied immediately, pulling a chair beside her bed. You're my precious student. I'm so sorry this happened to you. Naruko lowered her gaze quietly. Iruka hesitated before continuing. The people responsible were punished, he explained carefully. Even Asuma and Choza. Naruko blinked in confusion. I know Choza is Choji's father, she said slowly, but who's Asuma? He was the third Hokage's son, Iruka answered. He fought using special trench knives. Naruko's eye widened with fear as memories rushed back to her. He was Jiji-san's son? She whispered. And the old man still punished him? Iruka nodded sadly. A shinobi's duty is to protect the people of the village, he explained. Anyone who harms others breaks that duty. The Hokage must protect the village fairly, no matter how painful it is. Naruko hugged herself tightly, silent for several moments. Then Iruka tried to brighten the mood. How about this? He offered gently. When you're ready, I'll take you out for all-you-can-eat ramen. Instead of smiling, Naruko trembled. Iruka's expression fell. She was shaking with fear. I don't want to go outside, she whispered. I'm scared, Iruka-sensei. Tears gathered in her eye. What if someone tries to hurt me again? Iruka immediately leaned forward. That won't happen, he promised. I'll protect you. Naruko looked up at him, hurt and fear mixing together. But it already happened, she cried softly. You and Gigi-san came too late. And now I can't become Hokage anymore. Fresh tears rolled down her cheeks. My dream is over. Iruka's heart ached. He knelt beside the bed and carefully hugged her. Naruko buried her face against his vest and cried openly. She had dreamed of becoming Hokage ever since she was little. To her, it had meant being strong enough to protect everyone and never be lonely again. Now that dream felt impossibly far away. It's not fair, she sobbed. Iruka gently rested a hand on her head. I'm sorry, Naruko, he said quietly. I truly am. But I still believe in you. Naruko looked up at him with tearful eyes. How can you be so sure? Iruka gave a small, warm smile. Because being Hokage isn't only about fighting, he answered. It's about caring for people, protecting them, and never giving up. You still have that strength inside you. Naruko was quiet after hearing those words. Then, after a long pause, she mumbled, I'm hungry. Iruka blinked in surprise before smiling. Well, that's something I can help with. Naruko pointed toward the phone beside her bed. If you call downstairs, she explained softly, they'll bring food. Iruka picked up the receiver and ordered ramen from Ichiraku Ramen, 2 bowls of miso ramen and 1 beef ramen. Even after everything, Naruko's love of ramen had not changed. That small fact brought comfort to Iruka's heart. A little while later, there was a gentle knock at the door. Naruko flinched, but Iruka reassured her before bringing in the tray. The delicious smell of ramen filled the room. Naruko's eye brightened immediately. Iruka carefully placed a bowl beside her, but she struggled to hold it properly with only one arm. Without hesitation, Iruka lifted the bowl for her. Naruko looked at him in surprise. But what about your food, Iruka-sensei? He smiled kindly. Don't worry about me. Your ramen will get cold. Naruko stared at him for a moment before slowly taking a bite. As she ate, Iruka watched quietly. The bright, noisy little girl who once ran through the academy halls was gone for now. In her place was a frightened child trying to find her courage again. And as Iruka sat beside her in the warm hospital room, he silently promised himself something important. No matter what happened next, Naruko would never have to face the future alone. Inside the Hokage's office, the evening air felt heavy with worry. Papers rested in neat stacks across the wooden desk, and the warm glow of a lantern flickered softly against the walls. And that is everything we discovered, Hokage-sama, Tenzo reported respectfully. He, Hebi, and Nico knelt before Hiruzen Sarutobi, who listened in silence. His eyes were calm, yet thoughtful. The news they carried troubled him deeply. Dangerous secrets had been hidden within the village for far too long, and now he understood that protecting the people of Kanahagakure would require difficult choices. For many years, Hiruzen had hoped peace could be preserved without conflict among the village's leaders. But now he knew that anyone who threatened the safety of innocent people could not be ignored. Hebi glanced toward the elderly Hokage. Even through her Onbu mask, her concern was clear. Hokage-sama, she said carefully, there are people who place their own ambitions above the village. We cannot allow that to continue. Hiruzen nodded slowly. You are right, Hebi, he answered. The will of fire exists to protect the people of the village, especially its children. Anyone who forgets that path risks leading Kanahagakure into darkness. The room grew quiet for a moment before Hiruzen turned toward Tenzo. I have an important mission for you, he said. You, Crow, and Weasel will investigate the hidden root facilities. If you find children there, bring them to safety immediately. They deserve kindness, care, and a chance to live peacefully. Tenzo lowered his head respectfully. Yes, Hokage-sama. I will do everything I can to protect the village and its people. A small smile crossed Hiruzen's face. I know you will. Then the Hokage turned toward Hebi and Nico. The two of you have another mission, he continued. You are to guard Naruko Uzumaki at the hospital. At the mention of Naruko's name, Hebi's eyes sharpened beneath her mask. There are still people in the village who misunderstand her, Hiruzen explained sadly. Some carry fear where there should be compassion. Naruko is still a child, and she must be protected. We understand, Nico replied quietly. Hebi crossed her arms confidently. Anyone who tries to frighten her will answer to us. Hiruzen gave an approving nod. Good. Naruko deserves safety, warmth, and a future where she can smile freely. Hebi grinned beneath her mask. She understood what it felt like to be judged unfairly, and because of that, she felt especially protective of Naruko. Without hesitation, Hebi bit her thumb lightly and formed hand signs. Summoning jutsu. A small cloud of smoke puffed into the air, revealing a slender red and black copperhead snake named Needle Core. Nearby, Nico performed her own summoning technique, and a fluffy snow leopard appeared in a swirl of smoke. His purple eyes blinked curiously as he stretched his paws. This was Ravage. You called for us? Ravage asked politely. We have an assignment, Nico explained. Hebi knelt slightly so the two summons could see her clearly. You will guard Naruko Uzumaki in room 54, she instructed. She is important to the village, and she must never feel alone. Needle Core lifted her tiny head proudly. We will protect her, the snake promised. Ravage nodded eagerly. No one will disturb her rest. Excellent, Hebi said warmly. We will join you shortly. In 2 quick flashes, the summons disappeared toward the hospital. After they left, Hiruzen looked at Hebi once more. You may remove your mask. Hebi obeyed, revealing the face of Anko Mitarashi. Though she tried to appear calm, her eyes carried memories of difficult days long ago. Hiruzen studied her carefully. Anko, you have done admirable work since joining the Anbu. You understand better than many how harsh the ninja world can become. Anko's expression softened slightly. Yes, she admitted quietly. I have seen people lose themselves to fear and bitterness. But Naruko should never have to carry that burden alone. She clenched one fist over her heart. I want her to grow up surrounded by kindness. I want her to know there are people who care about her. Hiruzen smiled gently. That is the true meaning of the will of fire. The old Hokage rose from his chair and walked toward the window overlooking the village. Warm lights twinkled across Kanahagakure like tiny stars. Every life in this village is precious, he said softly. Especially the lives of children who still dream of brighter tomorrows. Anko replaced her mask and bowed respectfully. We will protect Naruko, she promised. Beside her, Nico nodded firmly. We will not fail. With that, both kunoichi vanished in a blur of motion, racing across the rooftops toward the hospital. As they traveled through the cool evening air, Nico released a long breath. Hokage-sama can still be very intimidating, she whispered. Hebi chuckled softly. Maybe, she replied, but he's right about one thing. Nico glanced at her curiously. Hebi looked toward the glowing hospital windows in the distance. Naruko deserves happiness, she said. And we're going to make sure she gets it. The afternoon sun stretched warm golden light across the rooftops of the Uchiha district. In one of the quiet training yards, the sharp ringing of wooden practice blades echoed through the air as 2 talented young shinobi sparred with focused determination. Itachi Uchiha moved with calm precision, while his closest friend, Shisui Uchiha, darted around the field with incredible speed. Both of their Sharingan eyes spun gently as they carefully watched each other's movements. Though they were rivals during training, they shared deep trust and respect. Shisui vanished in a blur of motion and reappeared behind Itachi, lightly tapping him between the shoulders with the flat side of his practice blade. Itachi quickly spun around, blocking the next strike with a smooth motion of his own weapon. A small smile appeared on Itachi's face. You're getting faster again, he admitted. Shisui laughed softly. You noticed? The two leapt backward at the same time, landing several feet apart. Itachi calmly formed a series of hand signs. Fire release, Phoenix Sage Fire Technique. Small streams of bright orange flames spiraled through the air like glowing birds dancing across the training field. Shisui's eyes gleamed with excitement as he answered with hand signs of his own. Fire release, Great Fireball Technique. A large fireball burst forward, warm and brilliant like a miniature sunset. The larger flames gently swallowed Itachi's smaller fire techniques, filling the training ground with heat and swirling smoke. Suddenly, Itachi blinked. The ground beneath him had changed. Cold water surrounded his legs, dark and misty beneath a cloudy sky. Towering flames reflected across the strange lagoon around him. Before him floated an enormous fireball that seemed as large as the moon itself. For a moment, Itachi froze in surprise. Then, the illusion disappeared. He found himself standing safely back in the training yard with Shisui's practice Tanto resting lightly against his shoulder. Shisui grinned proudly. "What do you think of my new genjutsu? I call it demonic illusion, Murky Pool Lagoon." Itachi looked impressed rather than upset. "It's remarkable," he said honestly. "When did you create it?" "About 2 weeks ago," Shisui replied. Before either could continue, another shinobi appeared nearby in a swirl of leaves. "Tenzo." The older boy looked around carefully before speaking. "Could we talk somewhere private?" Shisui and Itachi exchanged curious glances before nodding. "Follow us," Itachi said. The three quietly traveled through the district until they reached an old abandoned Uchiha temple hidden among tall trees. Dust floated through narrow beams of sunlight as they stepped inside. Itachi turned toward Tenzo. "You came all this way for a reason," he said. "What happened?" Tenzo folded his arms thoughtfully before answering. "I received a mission from Hokage-sama," he explained. "We are to investigate one of Danzo's hidden root bases. The Hokage believes there may be children there who need help." The room grew quiet. Shisui's expression became serious, though calm. "So the Hokage has finally decided to act." Tenzo nodded. "The mission is dangerous, but the Hokage wants to protect innocent people before anyone else gets hurt." Itachi lowered his eyes in thought. "If children are involved," he said softly, "then we cannot ignore this." Shisui smiled proudly at his friend. "Agreed." Tenzo continued, "I know where one of the old bases used to be, but we don't know if it's still active. Danzo rarely lets others know his plans." "Then we proceed carefully," Itachi replied. The three young shinobi stood together inside the quiet temple, understanding the responsibility ahead of them. Though the mission would test their courage and teamwork, none of them intended to face it alone. Far away, hidden beyond the village streets, another young ninja girl named Naruko Uzumaki practiced her own techniques with endless determination, completely unaware that important events were already beginning to unfold around the Hidden Leaf village. And somewhere in the future, their paths would one day cross. Dear YouTube family, that's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to support the channel and stay connected for more content. Thank you for watching. Regards. 6 Path Weeb.